Hello, AAUW family. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Normally, we think of spring as the time for renewal and regeneration, but in AAUW, fall is also the time for renewal and starting anew. Many of you have just had or are in the process of planning your fall kickoff, the beginning of the program year. After all the work and achievements of the year ending June 30th, and this admittedly was a year with lots of challenges as well as lots of successes. One where we sometimes struggled and other times glided along in our quest to create and get comfortable with a new normal. We've had a summer off, perhaps traveling and getting back out into the world a bit. And now it's time to gear up and be about the business of what we can do collectively and individually to help accomplish the AAUW mission. The end of summer brings something else, more indoor activities and gatherings, working in closer quarters, moving into the season for flu and respiratory illnesses. So please consider getting all the necessary vaccines and boosters to ward off the bugs and viruses and stay healthy as we work together to produce and deliver positive impact in our respective communities and across the nation. The National Board and staff have been busy planning and putting together some new initiatives and outreach activities to go along with our ongoing programs and endeavors. And all of those things are designed to move us further down the road, closer to that vision of helping to bring about equity for all. Our CEO, Gloria Blackwell, and the staff have some very informative, interesting, and exciting updates to share with us today. Things I hope all of you will share with fellow members who were not able to make today's gathering. So I'll turn it over to Gloria now.
Thank you so much, Julia. And once again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're so happy to see you. I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge our AAUW friends, members, and donors who are in Florida right now. We know that it's a very challenging time, and we hope that you all are safe and that you remain safe, and that as the storm makes its way up the East Coast, that we will all be safe. So just know that we are thinking about you now and in the days to come. So thanks so much for that great opening. We are always so grateful for your leadership of the AAUW National Board. We really appreciate the leadership that the board provides. And I am excited to be able to share with everyone who has joined us today, first of all, our FY 2022 end of year financial status. We love starting off with the good news that AAUW, despite so many challenges of the pandemic, that we closed out FY 2022. We were actually in excess of our revenue goals. We had many challenges, but we actually were able to lower our expenses, come in under budget. And so much of that is due to the fact that you, our faithful and loyal AAUW members, despite your own challenges with fundraising, really were able to provide the funding to keep AAUW's priorities on track. So thank you so much. The pandemic has certainly not been easy, and AAUW and our finances and the management of the organization, we were certainly having a reckoning before the pandemic. And so since that time, we are going to continue to make sure that we focus on prioritization and the long-term sustainability of AAUW. Speaking of transitions, Julia mentioned it's fall. Change is certainly in the air. The AAUW national team is back in the office, and I want to congratulate them and really hold them up for their resilience and the hard work that has been demonstrated over the past few years as we have kept everything moving forward and piloted new programs. The staff really has remained the bedrock of making sure that AAUW's mission moves forward. So thank you to the AAUW national staff. And I encourage all members, when you have an opportunity, to reach out and provide thanks to the staff because their work is critical to this organization. In coming back to the office, one of the things that has been incredibly gratifying is that we've had the opportunity to welcome individuals back to the national headquarters. On this slide, you'll see a group of international visitors, part of the State Department International Visitor Leadership Program from Moldova. We had the opportunity last week to meet with a group of Roma women leaders. When other women leaders from countries around the world come to Washington, D.C., we have the pleasure to welcome them to AAUW, to hear their powerful stories, and to share the unmatched impact of AAUW and AAUW's commitment to gender equity. In addition, during our state conventions and other engagement with members and state leaders and donors, one of the things that we have been lifting up is the way in which AAUW's profile in the media has expanded during this past year. Here are just a few examples of how I have ensured, along with the AAUW national team, that AAUW stays relevant in the necessary conversations, that we continue to make sure that the issues that are key and pertinent to women's equity continue to be elevated. Our social media makes sure that it elevates the issues like pay equity, Black women's equal pay day, reproductive rights. And just this month, we are honoring Hispanic Heritage Month. All of these issues are important to ensure that AAUW remains a thought leader and also that we continue to demonstrate the value of AAUW's commitment. It continues to push us out there in the conversations, encouraging others to join us in our fight for gender equity. When we talk about what's going on around town, getting AAUW's name out there, making sure that we are in the right conversations, making sure that we are meeting with the right individuals, and making ourselves available in spaces where women leaders are coming together to have the important conversations about what we are facing now as a nation and as a world. It also provides us with the opportunity to understand just how valuable AAUW is as an organization. And the incredible impact that AAUW has, not just today, but what we have done in the future, and how AAUW remains pertinent in the minds of so many individuals. So here's an example of an event that I went to several weeks ago. When I've met and shared information with you during our multiple state conventions, one of the things I was clear to do was to demonstrate we've been at the White House and we've been on Capitol Hill and we've been engaged in so many important conversations. So this was an opportunity to connect with a previous AAUW honoree at NICWSL, our national conference for college women student leaders, Rosie Rios, who was the 43rd treasurer of the United States under the administration of former President Obama. She was a wonderful dinner companion. And right away, when she saw that I was from the AAUW, she immediately jumped in and started talking about what a great organization we were, how much she enjoyed meeting the students at NICWSL. And she also reminded me that she had a private meeting with AAUW members in DC in 2015 when she had put forth having women on our currency, and that AAUW members provided feedback and their ideas on how that could move forward. So she remembered more about her experience with AAUW. It was quite surprising. And during that process, as she was talking, she took out a dollar bill and she started writing on it. Initially, I had no idea what she was doing. And then she handed it to me, and I saw that her signature was already on the currency. And one of the things that she did share was that during when she left office, that there was 2.3 trillion dollars of currency in circulation, and her signature was on the majority of it. So she really did have an impact, and that was very, very heartening to hear her speak so warmly and just so approvingly of AAUW. And when we think about events and engagement, you may recall that this time last year, we were planning for our 140th anniversary. Kind of hard to believe that we're already at 141, but we will continue to engage leaders, just like Rosie Rios, with AAUW. And we're going to continue to engage our powerful and impactful AAUW Fellowship and Grant alumni. So do stay tuned, because later on this fall, we will be awarding our 2022 AAUW Alumni Recognition Award. So now I'd like to shift and introduce a new leadership team member at AAUW, Tiffany Sanchez. So Tiffany joined AAUW just a few months ago after a long search, and she rose to the top amongst all of the candidates. She is joining us from Stevenson University, where she served as the Vice President of Academic Affairs. She has over 20 years of higher education experience, not just at Stevenson, but also she served at Johns Hopkins University and at the American University here in Washington, D.C. I'm also really excited to share that Tiffany served on the Nick Whistle Steering Committee for many, many years and brings a wealth of expertise in that area as well, and has also demonstrated an ongoing and longstanding commitment to women's leadership and women's equity. So we're so thrilled to have Tiffany as a part of the AAUW leadership team. So Tiffany, as well as several other AAUW national team members, will now provide updates that definitely connect to our strategic pillars of economic security, education and training, and leadership. Tiffany, it's your turn.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I'm really, really excited to be here as the Vice President of Programs and Fellowships at AAUW. And as Gloria mentioned, I have almost 25 years of experience in higher education, student affairs leadership. And as you mentioned, 10 years experience in leadership roles at Hopkins and Stevenson, where I served as the Dean of Student Life and the Vice President for Student Affairs. I am currently finishing up my doctoral degree in leadership and learning in organizations from Vanderbilt University. And next April, I'll be updating my business cards to read Dr. Sanchez. So that is very exciting. I had been looking for an opportunity to grow outside the campus setting. And when I saw this position posted at AAUW, I was excited because I was, as Gloria mentioned, really familiar with AAUW through my service on the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders as on the steering committee. And had done a number of roles with that group, including workshops, scholarships, and 2 years working as one of the co-chairs. So this role came open, and I thought it seemed like an excellent fit, and I was so excited to join the group in late June. As a matter of fact, I had been to the office a couple of times to attend meetings, and so when I joined the team and began coming to the office in late June, it was really nice to have some familiarity with the space and a couple of the folks here on the national staff. So I am thrilled to be working here at AAUW with like-minded, passionate people to fulfill our mission. And as Gloria said, I'd like to share with you briefly how the members of my team and I are working to do just that. First, thanks to the great work of the Fellowships and Grants team here at the National Office and to the generous support of sponsors and you, our members, AAUW awarded $6 million this year to our largest class of awardees ever, 320 women. Let that sink in just for a moment. $6 million to advance the higher education goals of 320 women. These are powerful numbers. Applications for the next award year opened on August 1st, and I know that we can count on you to encourage women to apply. I also wanted to highlight that next year is an important milestone. In 2023, AAUW will celebrate 135 years of AAUW fellowships and grants. So another celebration year next year. I would also like to uplift the work of our amazing STEM team who worked really hard over the past year in conjunction with funding from Arconic and Baxter Foundations to create engaging virtual summer programming for nearly 700 girls and their parents and caregivers. Our participants were a highly diverse group of students, young girls and boys from K through 12, and their testimonials are really evidence of the impact of this important programming. I'll share with you two quotes that really highlight the sessions around resilience, the lessons, around resilience and growth mindset that were cultivated during those sessions. One girl wrote that the most interesting thing I found was that life is a series of spontaneous changes. Each of the ambassadors changed their goals at some point, and the choices they made paved the way to following their dreams. Another girl wrote, I really liked how the speakers were not perfect in some subjects, but they pulled through and they made it. So again, I think the STEM Ed for Girls program was an incredibly powerful set of programs, and we are very, very excited to be working on finalizing plans for reporting back to our grant funders and preparing for next year as we launch into the third year of that programming. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the program's teamwork. We are excited to be working to engage historically Black colleges and universities, minority-serving institutions, and women-serving institutions as part of our continued partnership in year 4 with the Coca-Cola Foundation. And of course, as many of you know, that work is really designed to train young women who are just launching their careers in salary negotiation. And that is really in support of our efforts to reduce the pay gap. And finally, I would like to share that our programs team is hard at work, and this is exciting news, planning for the first in-person NCWSL event, that's the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders, since 2019. We will be back at the University of Maryland, College Park, at the end of next May to host up to 800 college women as they are inspired by engaging in leadership training and networking. I really am looking forward to the coming year, working with AAUW staff and our members as we continue to advance gender equity for women and girls. And now I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Robin Lucas, AAUW's Grassroots Advocacy Manager, who'll be providing an update on our policy, research, and advocacy work.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Like Tiffany said, my name is Robin Lucas. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Grassroots Advocacy Manager at AAUW National. And I am thrilled to engage with each of you today. Here we have some recent policy updates. First up is the recent announcement of student debt cancellation from the Biden-Harris administration. We were thrilled to hear that this step had been taken and will be conducted over the next year. And the announcement was students making under $125,000 a year will receive between $10,000 and $20,000 of cancellation of their student debt. AAUW applauds this move, but acknowledges that this is a first step and an imperfect step, but still historic, and we're very excited to build some momentum. I'm going to drop a list of links in the chat for everyone. First one being the student debt statement that we made, and also a webinar that we did this spring on student debt, if you'd like to kind of deep dive into the details and nuances of the student debt crisis. Next up, very exciting again, the Title IX announcement. The Department of Education released the long-awaited proposed Title IX regulations on June 23rd of this year, the 50th anniversary of Title IX itself. The policy team at National has been working in coalition to respond to these proposed regulations, including a public comment letter to the Education Department outlining our recommendations. And there is still more to do after that, but we're optimistic about achieving it and making sure that the promise of Title IX is realized. Third, we have some new research. Last year, AAUW and our partner Ipsos surveyed women in New York City on how they fared economically during the pandemic. The results bolster AAUW's continued commitment to protecting economic security for women. I have included the link in the chat. I highly recommend you read the report. And finally, no current state of events is complete without attention to reproductive rights and the fall of Roe v. Wade. We at National continue to work with our coalition partners and leaders in the reproductive rights space to keep up to date with news and engagement opportunities on reproductive rights. You can check out our information hub link that is included in the chat called Rallying for Reproductive Rights. And of course, it is an election year. So switching gears a little bit to some get out the vote information. We have the 2022 voter issue guide from AAUW Action Fund. This is a list of our top 7 issues to consider when considering candidates in the election this year. And you can check out our other guides to engagement opportunities for the election season at aauwactionfund.org. And stay tuned, we are planning a GOTV Get Out the Vote webinar for mid-October, which will be sent out to you soon. I'd also like to take a moment here to highlight AAUW leadership amongst membership. If you want to get involved locally, I would love for you to reach out to your state public policy chair. State public policy chairs, or SPPCs, as we call them, are the leaders and backbone of our state policy work and might already have some engagement opportunities in the works for the election or for any of these advocacy issues. And also I want to thank the AAUW Public Policy Committee members. They are working on starting off the biannual process to review our public policy priorities and more. And I just generally want to say thank you to both SPPCs and members of the APPC, to each of you as members for your support and advocacy for gender equity. I look forward to making more advancements as an AAUW family this year. And I would be remiss in sharing all of these updates without a final ask. Make sure you're signed up as a 2-minute activist. This is our timely and topical method of reaching out to you. It's a single email that connects you to a call to action as they're needed and helpful. So please sign up and get some more emails from me. And I'd now like to hand over the mic to my colleague, Katrina Brees, AAUW's Senior Director of Institutional Advancement, who will provide some updates on AAUW's membership and our general supporters. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin, and good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to be able to uplift and thank Gloria, Tiffany, and Robin for all of their hard work, the really great updates. It's, for me, a pleasure and inspiration to work alongside such talented women who are working hard to advance our mission here at AAUW. First, I want to also give thanks, a special thanks, to the thousands of members across the country who've taken on the great challenge of our transition from the MSD to the Community Hub. We are truly in this together, and your continued support, perseverance, and leadership is a continued motivation for me and my team. I definitely see all of the results of the hard work each of you have really put into making a commitment in this space. And so just wanted to say thank you all for your work there. Next is a reminder that our branch membership renewal deadline has been extended to November 30th, which ensures our branch members with expiration dates of June 30th are able to renew over the next 2 months and retain their June 30th expiration date. Our member leaders should have received a message with this update. And so for those of you who can help to spread the word and let your branch members and your member leaders know about this update, we really appreciate it. Also wanted to give a special shout out to our 5-star program, which concluded in July. I've been really energized by the accomplishments of this year's group of participants. And next month, we'll be posting the fiscal year 2023 criteria along with information about a more streamlined application process. We surveyed our participants from the past several years and really took to heart the feedback you gave us in a continued effort to ensure that this program was responsive and was engaging for those of you who choose to participate. Also coming will be the 2023 art contest. It's truly hard to believe we're already working on things that begin in January. But of course, this weekend is October already and the last quarter of this calendar year. Our entries will be opening up in January. Voting will occur in February, and please do stay tuned for updates in our upcoming newsletters and email communications. I truly enjoy seeing all of the entries and wait with bated breath to see who the great winners are and wait to see all of the great note cards that enter our inboxes, and we utilize them at the national office as well to send our thank you letters to our many members and member leaders across the country. So looking forward to this year's contest very much so. Next, I'd like to take the time to recognize a special and growing group of individuals and branches and states that have made significant contributions to AAUW. Our champions for women and girls have contributed cumulative gifts of $5,000 and above. The newest members of our Legacy Circle have committed to supporting AAUW through planned giving, and all the branches and states who participated in the 5-star program have made major commitments to our mission and strategic goals. So thank you so much. It would not be without, all of our successes would not be without the collective impact that our branches and our states, as well as our many donors across the country are making on a daily basis. And so we wanted to say thank you there. A conclusion for my part before I hand it over to Gloria to be able to close for today is to read to you an excerpt from a letter that I received from a son of a longtime member about the power of philanthropy. I've been in touch with this family member throughout this past year, and he and I have had several conversations just about what AAUW in particular meant to his mother, and really what philanthropy in particular meant for his family and the lasting impact that it made. And I was trying to think of the right opportunity to be able to share this story, and I really thought that one of our upcoming member gatherings was a perfect place, as I really felt a lot of attachment to this particular story and the ongoing legacy that this family has. Dorcas and Paul Doring had a commitment to giving back. My father, Paul, was a Lutheran clergyman. Dorcas, my mother, worked in nonprofits her entire career. Focusing on my mother for a moment, AAUW was always a part of her life, from college to the end of her life. During the 1970s, I would often come home from school and there would be an Oklahoma Division newsletter layout scattered across the living room floor. Later, she would travel across the state of Oklahoma as president of the division, advocating for women, especially around the passage of the ERA. In the 1980s, she began to operate at a national level with AAUW, always with an eye to activating her faith for the advancement of women. To the point of the power of philanthropy, my parents were not huge wage earners over their life, but they were very diligent savers and very astute investors. They enjoyed life, both in the communities in which they lived, but also in their view of the world and the travel they did. One thing that was always fundamental to them, tithing. This was influenced by their faith, and it was a value inculcated into our family. As my parents planned their estate, they immediately indicated to their estate planning attorney that they'd set aside a tradition of 10% in support of their financial tithing. In essence, 10% of their monies were to be given away. They then led a disciplined discussion of to what organizations should they, for them. AAUW was a key recipient from the beginning of their discussions. As indicated, AAUW held an important part of my mom's life and therefore their life together. It was particularly touching to read about Tad's very specific memories of the place of importance that AAUW had in his mother's life, and really that continued legacy of both the power of philanthropy, but AAUW's mission really left a lasting impression on this family. And it just is a snapshot of the impact that we continue to make, both through our giving as well as all of what we do on the branch and state level. So wanted to be able to share that with each of you, be able to see that you can share many of your stories, both with us and those in your communities, as I know you already do. But wanted to, again, conclude by saying thank you and turning over the program to Gloria to close.
Thank you so much, Katrina, for sharing that incredibly touching story, which really demonstrates the power of AAUW and the commitment of so many individuals to its success, and how much it means that people have chosen that even, when they're no longer here, they want to make sure that their efforts towards gender equity continue to move forward. So thank you. And thank you once again to those of you who are on this call, who are already committed to AAUW's Legacy Circle, and who have already determined that you have thought of AAUW, in your will, and that you are committed to ensuring that this work continues on. So thank you so much for that. I want to thank Katrina and our board chair, Julia, Robin, and Tiffany for participating with us this afternoon and giving you, just what's really a snapshot of the incredible work that's taking place in the national office, and so much of it also in partnership with you, because you are an integral part of AAUW's mission as well. We continue to ask for your support, obviously, and your patience. We are in a period of transition, like so many other organizations. AAUW is going through, as a nonprofit, what so many of our friends in the nonprofit world are going through as well. It is a time of change. It is a time of transition. But AAUW continues to be one of the most highly regarded gender equity organizations, and it is due to your unfailing support. We know that AAUW will continue to affect meaningful change. We thank you for walking alongside us as we manifest that change. Our work is certainly more important now than ever, and our goal as we move, whether it's into the midterms or into the next year, our goal is really to ensure that the rights of women do not continue to be rolled back. And we know that with your support and with the strong staff of AAUW members and staff and leadership of the board, that we can make that happen. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. If you have any questions, certainly you can send them to connect@aauw.org. And we encourage you to check out the updates on the AAUW National website, as well as all of our social media channels, to really get a sense of where AAUW is and how we are having a voice in so many important discussions. So thank you so much.